Hello, this is Mrs. Farron, and today we're going to talk presentation options. Once you've completed your research, it's important to share what you found with others. This helps us continue to grow and learn from one another, but the way you share your information might look a little bit different. My suggestion to you is that you play to your strengths, that you consider your target audience, and you consider the best way to get your information across. A lot of the time people are assigned to write essays. If you are, that's great. There's a module for that later on in these notes in the course. If not, I want to provide you with a few other ideas for presentation types. You are absolutely not limited to this. In fact, I would even encourage you to be as creative as possible. But here are some that you might want to consider. An infographic. Infographics are quick. They help people absorb a lot of information. They're a visual, which is always nice, but make sure that you consider if the infographic really does help you make your point, what information you absolutely need, because too much can become too busy, how many images or sections you'll need, how you should organize it, if it is visually appealing, how you'll create it, and if the information is easily accessible and quick to read, because that's the ultimate point of an infographic. One of the cool things about an infographic is that we have a lot of different platforms on which to build it that help you with color coordinating and sizing and font and all of the visual aspects. My suggestion for you is Canva. These are a couple examples of some infographics about sharks. Pay attention to the images, pay attention to the text. What about these infographics do you like or not like as a consumer of information? Another thing you could do is some sort of an illustrated product. If you are an artist, if this is something you're good at, then this may be something you want to try. It's kind of like an infographic, but it's its own style. So you'll probably include some sketches or your own artwork. Some people do this as they're talking about their research, and some people just present it in the form of a book or a poster or something like that. I'll show you an example in just a second. You will want to consider how your image or sketch helps make your point, what facts pertain to your sketch, how many sketches or pictures you'll need to really share important information, how you should organize them, right? Just like an infographic, how they're different from one another. And again, if it's easily accessible and quick to read, because that's ultimately what your target audience wants. This is a video about a book by Mike Lowry, who sketchnotes and turns his sketchnotes into pretty cool books.
I'm author and illustrator and leading Dino Doodle expert, Mike Lowry.
So you can see, even though that video is kind of fun, you can see how he uses his art, which isn't perfect by any means or totally scientific, but he uses his art to share information. Another thing you might consider is a mini documentary to share information. Do you need to conduct interviews? What images or video content would you need? How would you create it? So consider technology needs, where you'll need to be, and if you need a script. Here's a short documentary to show you how much information you can get across in a short amount of time. So there you can see in just a 2-minute documentary, we learned a lot about seahorses. Hopefully you paid attention to the background music, the different images or angles and footage that they needed in order to make this impactful. An animated video is also something that you might consider. Powtoon and Animoto are my suggestions for this. However, it can get tricky if you don't have the tech tools or the patience to really line everything up, then it won't be as successful as it could be. So make sure, again, that you're playing to your strengths when choosing how you want to share your information. Some things to consider: if the images and audio support your message, if it's an appropriate length. Too long and you'll lose your audience. Too short and you won't have enough time to get your information across. How you'll animate it, the timing, video, and again, the length of that video. Is it appropriate for your audience? Will they have the attention span to pay attention to that? This is an example of an animated video I made as a teacher introduction. And then you can always use a good old-fashioned PowerPoint or Google Slides. Usually this aids an oral presentation, but not always. You can also use tools like WeVideo, which is how I'm making this video, Loom, or VoiceThread to share those slides digitally. When you are creating slides, use an appropriate color scheme. Limit your words on a slide. The majority of your speech or your information sharing should still come from you. The slides should aid your speech and not the other way around. Carefully organize them. Avoid transitions. Please avoid transitions. No one needs your slides to fly in from all different angles or checkerboard in or anything like that. Please be wise about the way that you are presenting each slide. Organize your slides, use graphics where appropriate to break up your content, and then keep it short and sweet. Finally, the good old-fashioned essay, which we'll go more into detail with in the next module. But when writing an essay, you'll want to consider your assigned formatting style or choose one if your teacher has not assigned one to you. You'll want to use appropriate words and be really aware of your purpose and your audience in order to make the greatest impact possible. Consider a potential length requirement if that is something that someone has assigned to you. Or again, we talked about already, if it's too long, you will lose your audience. And if it's too short, then you may not have enough time to really get across what you need to get across. And then obviously the target audience, consider that when you're writing the level of your audience, if you can use specific jargon or terms or how much context you'll really have to provide. Whatever you choose, make sure that you're considering your target audience, make sure that you're playing to your strengths, and make sure that you have the tech skills to really be able to get done what you need to get done. Happy presenting.